the recent resurgence of 3D platformers in 2017 and the popularity surrounding them, plus the developer Rareware finishing up their game that they've been working on for 4 years, and the recent interest in 3D platformers by Microsoft, could 2018 be the year for a Banjo-Kazooie revival? Hey guys, my name's Elijah, and today on Rocket Sloth, we are going to be taking a look at the Banjo-Kazooie franchise and the general resurgence of 3D platformers that we had this year, and we're going to question if it's possible that 2018 might finally be the year that we see Banjo-Kazooie return to its 3D platformer roots. Let's get into it. First things first, I think the general thing that we need to understand is where the industry overall is at right now. If you've been hiding under a rock, you wouldn't have noticed that this year was huge for 3D platformers. Earlier this year, we had a Yooka-Laylee release, which was created by some of the original team who made Banjo-Kazooie, and there was a ton of support behind it. Unfortunately, it seems like the response to the game was relatively mixed. Some people citing that the game just didn't quite feel alive enough, and it just didn't really evolve enough from its original N64 form, and it wasn't the Banjo Threeie everyone wanted to. It wasn't necessarily a bad 3D platformer collectathon, but it just didn't really capture the same charm that Banjo-Kazooie did. Moving on later into the year, we saw a release of A Hat in Time, which used Wind Waker type art styles and mixed the 3D platforming collectathon style, and it actually did really well. And I think, if anything, that proved there's a market still for the collectathon genre outside of Nintendo consoles. And to further push that point, we did have Mario Odyssey, which was on a Nintendo console, that could possibly get Game of the Year because it's just, there's so much to do and there was a ton of support behind it. So, with that huge resurgence of 3D platformers, I think Microsoft sees that as a potential because we did see a release of Super Lucky's Tale, which was the closest thing to a 3D platformer we got on the Xbox One exclusively, and the reviews on that game were relatively mixed, mostly positive, but not necessarily the triumphant IP that everyone had been waiting for. So that leaves us with something interesting to think about, because if you've looked at Rareware, the people who developed Banjo-Kazooie back in the day, Banjo-Tooie, and they even did Nuts and Bolts, we don't talk about that game. That didn't happen. There's only 2 Banjo games. Yeah. But if we look at Banjo-Kazooie, and we look at the developer of Rareware, they've been working on Sea of Thieves for literally like 5 years, and it's about to maybe come out. Maybe in March come out, unless it gets delayed again, which means that Rareware will be freed up to work on a game. We know that Microsoft has some sort of interest in 3D platformers because they greenlit Super Lucky's Tale, so it could possibly happen where we would see this collaboration and maybe get a Banjo Threeie or Banjo-Kazooie 3 announcement this year. Could it maybe happen? And of course, if you didn't know, Microsoft obtained the rights to Banjo-Kazooie years ago. They haven't really done anything with the IP along with a bunch of other IPs. Microsoft, get it together. We need the Banjo game now. Honestly, I would say like if a Banjo-Kazooie game came out in 2018, it would probably do better than if it came out in 2017, considering how crowded the space of 3D platformer collectathons surprisingly was for this year. If it comes out next year, it might stand better against competition since there won't be a new Mario game coming out or a new Bubsy game, because you can't beat the Bubsy. But what it really comes down to is whether or not Microsoft is willing to fund the game, and if Rareware is able to pick up a project of this scale. I mean, the stakes are high, and Microsoft really can't cut corners and just let them make a 3D platformer collectathon unless there's a really good focus, because otherwise we'll fall under the same pattern that we saw with Yooka-Laylee, where we get a game that's reminiscent of Banjo-Kazooie and it tries really hard to be like Banjo-Kazooie, but at the end of the day it's just lacking some sort of feeling. Maybe the worlds were too big. I don't know exactly what it was. It just didn't feel like what everyone was expecting it to. And you also have to realize there's a huge fan base surrounding Banjo-Kazooie still, and I think that we saw that with how Yooka-Laylee did with its Kickstarter, and I think that the fan base would really come out if Banjo-Kazooie was released on the Xbox One, and of course, with all the Xbox releases, they also come out on PC, so if they don't have an Xbox, they would probably still buy this game. And If you need more evidence that there's a huge fan base, just look at the modding community in Banjo-Kazooie. People have recreated their own Nintendo 64 Banjo-Kazooie game, like their own third game in the series, using mod hacks on the computer and porting it onto a ROM. And that's crazy. If that's not dedication, Microsoft, you have the IP. Reward the players and give them something to play. Because I'd be down for a new Banjo-Kazooie game. And I think I'm probably the only person talking about Banjo-Kazooie in 2017. But you know what? That's okay. If you would play a new Banjo-Kazooie game, leave a comment down below. What feature would you say is most important for Banjo-Kazooie? Like, what gives Banjo-Kazooie life that Microsoft should not miss if they decide to pick it up this year? Let me know in the comment section down below, and make sure you subscribe if you're new for more gaming discussions just like this one. I upload a couple times a week. Kills my soul sometimes it doesn't. I got a lot to think about, I guess. That got dark quick. Alright guys, I'll see you guys in a day or two with a brand new video. Bye guys.